It is Friday, August 30th, 2024. This is another edition of Baseball Today, presented to you by 5 Hour Energy. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose. Producer Dan along for the ride as well, as we now have our final show of August. Can you believe it? We're going to have 1 month to go, less than 1 month to go when we resume next week.
I can believe it. Time just flies nowadays, Chris. You know, my grandma once told me that the age you are, that's the miles per hour life flies. So, you know, I'm getting to 40 now, almost 40 miles per hour. As you get older, it just gets
Wow.
faster and faster. Is that true? You're 78 years old. Does it feel like
Stop.
78 miles an hour to you?
Stop. I was going to say I feel like I'm on the Autobahn where there is no speed limit a little bit. But yeah, you're onto something. Right. So sometimes you get a little exhausted with life. Well, you know what? Maybe you need a little pick-me-up. And today's episode brought to you by our friends at 5 Hour Energy. They've got shots that'll help you feel alert and energized. Each one of those bad boys is packed with vitamins, nutrients, and about as much caffeine as the leading premium coffee. They're little, they're on the go. You down them, you're good to go. And here's a nice thing. It contains 0 sugar. So you'll drink it in seconds. You'll feel it in minutes. It will last for hours. It's available in a wide range of great flavors across their regular strength and extra strength varieties. So head on over to 5hourenergy.com. Use the code JOHNBOY. You're going to save 20% on your first order. That is the number 5hourenergy.com. Code JOHNBOY. You'll save 20%. Plus, we've got our 5 Hour Energy question of the week coming up at the end of this show, and it is a good one. All right. Today, we are going to get it going with the big matchup that we had. The NL East, the Atlanta Braves. They jumped out to a huge lead, and then Philly came back from down 4 runs as the guy who has no approach whatsoever delivered the big blow.
Fly ball, center field, pretty well hit. Harris going back, scampering back to the wall. It's gone! Into the trees! The Phillies have taken the lead on a center field home run by Nick Castellanos.
Are you still buying the whole no approach thing?
I told you what that means, dude. Just he's a hitter. See ball, hit ball. He crushed that thing in the baby blues. I actually expected him to celebrate a little more, but he just kind of did the cool, calm, collected trot around the bases.
So if you're doing the math this weekend, they've got 3 more games between the teams. The Phillies' current lead is 6 games. So it will either be Phillies lead by 9, Phillies lead by 7, Phillies lead by 5, or Phillies lead by 3. That's when everybody gets back to work on Labor Day. Is the division over if the lead is anything other than 3 games by Monday?
I think so. I believe it'll be 5. I think they'll end up splitting this series. I think, you know, Ronaldo Lopez and Max Fried give you a real good shot to win, although, you know, you still have to face Wheeler in one of those matchups and Ranger Suarez. So it'll be interesting. I think it'll be 5. The difference is, Chris, I think the tiebreaker is going to come into play here. All Philly has to do is win one more of these games to end up with a tiebreaker for the series.
Philly has the tiebreaker? I thought Atlanta had a tiebreaker.
Atlanta has it?
Wait, hold on.
I have it up right here, Chris.
Yeah, go for it.
I have them. Oh, yeah, you're right. Atlanta has. They're 6-4 against them.
Yeah, they get one more win. They win the tiebreaker, which is huge.
That totally changes my answer this whole time. I'm thinking about Philly having the tiebreaker. Okay. So in that instance, I would say no. Then it doesn't have to be 3 games at the end of this. I would say no. I think that Atlanta can keep it close enough and get hot in September. And if you do have the tiebreaker, that matters to me. So yeah, that completely changes my answer.
It's just, here's the only thing. To make up 5 games with 3.5-ish, less than 4 weeks to go, that is a substantial number.
They have to go on a heater. They haven't won at that clip at all this year. So yeah.
Right. And they have played very well as of late. Like, this has been one of their hotter times since the first 3 weeks of the year when they got off to a great start. And we were like, oh, the Braves are back. And then all sorts of weird stuff started happening. So, God, do you think that affects the way that Snit manages the games this weekend, knowing the distance? Or do you think that he's just happy? Remember, he's the 3rd wild card right now. It's not like he's got a ton of room to be cushy with, But if you manage it a certain way to play these like their playoff games, that might affect you over the last 3.5 weeks of the year.
You want to think so. You want to think, yes, like go get these games because these are the games that you can make up 2-1 when you're playing head to head like this. So you want to think that, but at the same time, is he going to, you know, run his bullpen 3 days in a row? I don't know if they're going to change up the philosophy that much. When, like you said, like yeah, they're third in the wild card right now, but they understand like if they just kind of continue to play ball, that they have a good shot of making the playoffs. So I don't know if he's gonna blow that chance just to try to steal another game from Philly. But I think you do manage them differently, 100%. I think I think you might have a little bit of a quicker hook with your starter. I think you might go for a 6-out save or something like that. Like that might come into play. Yeah.
Suarez, Lopez tonight, Wheeler, Fried on Saturday, Nola and Schwellenbach, who's been really good for the Atlanta Braves on Sunday. I would say it will be over with anything other than an Atlanta taking the last 3 of this series. I just feel that way. I do think that 5 games against a Philly team is probably too much to overcome. Atlanta's going to have to hang on for dear life. I think they do see the Mets a lot. I believe the Braves and Mets still play a bunch more times. So they're going to have them in their rearview mirror. We might talk about one other team in the NL that is not currently holding a playoff spot that could be interesting, maybe making a run. We'll see about that. But yeah, if I'm Atlanta, I'm only feeling good about the division. Taking 2 out of 3 is not good enough.
Okay, that's a lot. I think they play the Mets just one more time at the end of the year. Three games.
Okay. All right.
Okay. I will say this.
Go for it.
Bryce Harper's about to catch fire. Like it's going to happen. You know it's going to happen in September.
Yeah. He hasn't homered in 3+ weeks.
It's been bad.
Yeah, it has been bad. You know it's good. The National League West. The Dodgers, they will take a 4-game lead into Arizona tonight in the division. It'll be their final 4 meetings of the year, so it's a wraparound series. With all of the injury issues that LA has faced with its pitching staff in particular, and now Freddie Freeman is down, although the Diamondbacks will say, well, we've been playing without Christian Walker, which is a great point. Are the Diamondbacks actually built for a better playoff run than LA?
It's hard for me to say a better playoff run. I think they're both set up for good playoff runs for different reasons. I mean, people don't give enough credit to the Diamondbacks offense. It's by most numbers, it's better than the Dodgers offense. And we kind of talk about that offense, quite a lot, specifically the top 3 or 4 guys in the lineup. They've been missing some guys with the Dodgers, but again, you can point to that pretty much with any team. So I think the Diamondbacks can score runs in different ways. Although, like you think about them being like more athletic than the Dodgers have more stolen bases than them. But the Diamondbacks they get on base more. I have all the numbers right here. They did a cool thing on base percentage. They're ahead of them. Even slugging percentage, the Diamondbacks are ahead of the Dodgers, which is kind of crazy. So offensively, I think they have enough to make a playoff run. The Dodgers hit more home runs than them, which is kind of what you really look for in the postseason. So the Dodgers have that ability to kind of crush you with a 3-run homer or the top of that lineup. The pitching staffs, that's where you start to really think about it. I think the Dodgers are going to find a lane with their bullpen, and I think that is going to give them an advantage there. The starting pitching, I think, eventually will end up kind of being a wash. So these teams, they're so equally matched, Chris. I don't know who to give the leg up. I'll give the Dodgers the leg up just because I think Shohei Ohtani is going to absolutely shine for them in the playoffs. I really do. I think him alone is going to be the reason that I say the Dodgers go far in the playoffs.
God, this would be a great playoff matchup again. Last year, Diamondbacks took it right to them, and nobody expected that at all. I forgot that Ketel Marte went on the 10-day injured list with an ankle as well. Walker did take batting practice earlier this week, so that's good for him. Hopefully he gets a few cuts in and will get back in early-ish September because he was smoking hot when he went down. Although Josh Bell has certainly done some nice things since he came over in a trade. Boy, this one might come down to bullpens. And the Dodgers are so interesting because are they the best team without, like, an truly organized bullpen? You know what I mean? Like, you could see different guys in different
Yeah.
situations all the time.
If Kopech is what Kopech is right now, I think
Yeah.
that is a massive
Yeah, that has
find for
been
them, to
great.
say the least, dude.
Yeah, that has been great. Yeah, I guess that he has solidified things back there. Justin Martinez, though, has only given up 2 runs this month in almost
He's
13
incredible.
innings for Arizona. He's just been an incredible find. Like, you look at their rotation, they're thrilled with it right now. Gallen, Kelly, Erod, Fott, Nelson. Like, that's great. Last month, we're rearing to go. And then yesterday, we heard from Dave Roberts that we hope to have Tyler Glasnow back for the playoffs.
Yeah,
This is
these 2
fun.
teams are just they're really, really good baseball teams. The Diamondbacks are first in Major League Baseball in runs per game. I didn't know that.
Hmm, didn't know that.
5.35 runs per game. The Dodgers are fourth in all of Major League Baseball with 4.93. So, like, these are 2 explosive offenses. They kind of do it in different ways. I would love to see this postseason matchup again. I really would.
Well, at the beginning of the year, when you looked at the Dodgers' top 6, no matter how you wanted to organize it, but let's call it now what the order is with Shohei, Mookie, Freddie Freeman when he gets back, Teoscar, Max Muncy, Will Smith. But Will Smith has not been he's been horrific. He's been among the worst hitters in the league over the last several months. Did get a big hit the other night, but they need him to return. They need Muncy to kind of return to back to the form that he had earlier in the year. Because if not, and it's just those top 4 guys for the Dodgers, it's damn good, but you need something more
Yeah.
consistent out of the rest of it, and that's where I would give the edge to the Diamondbacks. So, talked with Miggy Rowe a lot about it. That episode will come out on Monday. So, unfortunately, we couldn't talk about what happened
The,
because we don't jump into the future.
the Diamondbacks have one of, like, the best offenses in all of baseball, dude.
Fun team. Fun team. I'm just looking forward to the series. I know I didn't really do a very good job of answering the question, but
It's a hard question to answer, dude.
I know. Well, but I like to
You
answer
always do
questions.
that to me.
I like to answer questions. I would say overall, no. I still think that no matter how it shakes out, which 4 guys are in that rotation for the Dodgers come playoff time, I still think that'll be pretty good. They have to be encouraged that Yamamoto got through healthy and that Walker Buehler just threw his best game of the year. Those are 2 good things for the Dodgers. All right, we got much more show coming your way, but first, Trevor Plouffe.
1 second, guys. Here I am. Chris Rose, you know what's happening? I know you do. The football season is kicking off. It's the perfect time to dive into the action with our partners at DraftKings. It's the number 1 place to bet on touchdowns. Who doesn't love touchdowns? And you know what? I love betting on touchdowns because you have your fantasy team. You're like, hey, I'm going to root from there. And then also with my bet at DraftKings, right now, all new customers who bet just $5 will instantly get $250 in bonus bets. Plus, how about this? 1 month of NFL Plus Premium. Now, that is something that we can all celebrate. So that's $250 in bonus bets instantly and 1 month of NFL Plus Premium after betting just $5. You stay in on the action. You use your $250 in bonus bets to bet anytime touchdowns on DraftKings, which is the place to bet touchdowns. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use promo code Baseball Today, all one word, Baseball Today, and bet just $5 on any wager and get $250 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code Baseball Today only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
Well done, Mr. Plouffe. As we continue on, Royals and Astros started a 4-game set in Houston last night. Very entertaining game, but the Royals not only lost on the scoreboard, they lost at least one of their big players. This was the big play in the 8th. Lucas Ursig was on, and he's been phenomenal for the Royals. He took a liner right off of his upper body. As he took it, he threw it down the first base line, and that's when Vinnie Pasquantino had to kind of cross over and right into Diaz, the runner. Vinny ended up breaking his thumb. He's out 6 to 8 weeks. So that is the only way we'll see him is if the Royals get to the playoffs. And even then, it's dicey at best. How much does this change your thinking for the American League Central down the stretch?
I mean, obviously, it hurts them a ton. I mean, this is an offense that is also pretty dang top heavy. with him, Sal, and Bobby Witt producing, a lot of offense for them. We talked about how well they've been doing with runners in scoring position. It's great that Bobby Witt's on base, but Vinny's been driving him in as well. I mean, he was approaching 100 RBIs this year. It's a massive blow to them. There's no other way around it. They're going to have guys step up, and sometimes that does happen. I was definitely rooting for the Kansas City Royals. They play a fun brand of baseball. 106 losses last year. To turn it around the way they've turned it around this year is nothing short of incredible, and they've done it the right way. They went out and made free agent acquisitions. They went out and made moves at the trade deadline. Like, they've been actively trying to win, which is, I'm like applauding that, which is kind of crazy. But this is a big loss for them. I don't know how they replace a guy like Vinny in that lineup. I honestly don't think they can. They gotta figure out something.
I wonder if it means that you see a lot more Salvador Perez at first base and Fermin behind the dish, because that kid's been great behind there as their backup catcher, both at the plate and behind it. He's been very, very good. So there's a few out. First of all, people know I'm very close with Vinny. I'm crushed. I'm really sad for him. I was watching the play live, and the minute it happened, before they even cut back to him, I turned to Michelle and I said, "Oh my God, I think he just broke his thumb or something, or wrist or whatever." Because then they went back to him, and the way he's holding it, I was like, this is horrible. That's the biggest fear. We always see it 1 or 2 times a year. It's one of those errant throws that tails and takes the first baseman into the runner. And just like that, a guy who worked so hard to get back from that shoulder surgery to produce, and he loves getting out there and grinding. He is, he and Salvador Perez are really kind of the heartbeat of that team in terms of leaders and guys who will take the brunt of the interviews and things of that. And we've talked about how important that is over 162 games, to be a guy that will stand there and answer all questions when some guys just don't want to. That's a big deal. On top of that, he was leading the team on runs driven in. Whether you think that's a big stat or not, the goal of the game is to score runs. And so if you've got a guy that's really good at it, and you were going to have 3 guys well over 100 this year, that would have been really special for them. Stinks. And I do think, listen, people know my allegiance to the Guardians. I would much rather have Vinny out there, and hell, even lose the division if that's what it meant, than the opposite. I'm sad for him. I'm sad for Kansas City, and it's going to hurt him. Left-handed bat, like, who's their next most consistent left-handed bat that plays on a regular basis? Melendez has been really good over the last month or so.
Yeah.
Really turned it on, but he can go in stretches where he's big swing and miss and hitting a $180.
Tough, man.
Blows.
You got the postseason on the horizon.
Yeah.
Obviously the injury last year. He's feeling great. And then it's all taken away from you in one freaking play. One just random play.
He was somehow able to text me back. I don't know if he used Siri or what. Either that, or he's a really good one-finger texter, which is possible too. Don't know if you've noticed this, Plouffe. Both the Cubs and the Tigers are only 5 games out of their respective wild cards. Both have been on really good runs. Chicago has won 17 of 25. Detroit, either 18 of 25 or 17 of 24. I forget which number, but it's really good. And Detroit, 12 of its last 16. One, both, or neither will make it interesting down the stretch.
My heart says neither, but I also think that the Cubs, because of their schedule, possibly have a shot here.
Mm-hmm.
They're in the middle of this soft schedule. They've been doing great with it. They still have now games against Washington and Pittsburgh coming up. Then they got New York and the Dodgers. I am so confused about their schedule. I need to rethink everything. So I was going to bring – never mind. Let me answer the question. We'll talk about this later. But they still have games against Colorado, Oakland, Washington, again, Cincinnati to end the year. There's a chance that they could go and make this a race. Now, they got to leapfrog a bunch of different teams, because currently right now they are 5 games out. They'd have to jump the Braves and the Mets, which is interesting. But they've been playing like at that pace of baseball that they have to win at to get it done. And Chris, they've been doing it with runners in scoring position last 3 days, 803 OPS at second in baseball to the Diamondbacks who we just mentioned. They're fourth in stolen bases in that time. So like they're getting the job done when they need to get the job done. They just have to continue this pace like the rest of the season. So I guess my answer is one team will make it interesting. I'm not in. I don't think Detroit will. I'm not in on that. But the Cubs, to me, have a chance because of the schedule.
So with Detroit, you're going to know over the next week whether this is something that could really happen or it's over. Their next 6 games are against Boston and then at San Diego. And Boston is a team that is slightly ahead of them, but not holding a wild card spot. So you got to dispose of them. I mean, really, a sweep is in order. If we're talking about being serious about this, then that's what you got to do. And then San Diego, who we've talked about, has been one of the best teams in baseball the entire second half of the season. So Detroit, you've got basically 1 week to show us that this entire comeback story, because last year they went 17-10 in the month of September, and I bought in. I said they were going to win the division. I also said Skubal was going to win the Cy Young. I think I'm going to go 1 for 2 in those predictions. But Detroit, for the first 3.5, 4 months, was like MIA. They were horrible. Well, now they've gotten Riley Green back. They've gotten Kerry Carpenter back. That's good. Colt Keith is going to be a really good player, I think, for a long time. And somehow behind Skubal, they've managed to put together a pitching staff that has done enough. With all that being said, I don't think it's going to happen. Now, the Cubs, we got yelled at by Cubs fans, and we didn't talk about your amazing 7-run comeback from the 7th inning on yesterday. Sorry, didn't have time for it. I'll give you your time here. You mentioned the schedule. So once again, Pittsburgh, Colorado, 2 series with Washington, 1 with the Reds. Those are all series. You've got to sweep half those series at least right there. Now, you mentioned Oakland. Oakland's no
They've
joke,
been good
bro.
too.
They've been great. They have been great, and we'll talk about the mighty A's in just a second, I think. But Yankees, Dodgers, Phillies, I'd say with 28 games left, minimum you have to go 21-7. And I don't even think that gets it done. Winning 75% of your games. I still don't think that gets it done. With
They
5.
can make it interesting.
Yes, so interesting means getting it within like 3 games with 2 weeks to go. So I'll say yes, Cubs fans. There you go.
By the way, Arizona 4 games back, Padres 5 games back as we speak right now. So shirtless is Chris Rose right now.
Well, okay. So once again, they have to be within 3.5.
It's a
correct?
big series for you right here, dude.
Yeah, I mean, Arizona's got to take 3 of 4. Arizona's got to take 3 of 4. I talked to Miggy Rowe about that too. See how that ends up going. Just want to let you know. All right. Maybe you're trying to squeeze in one more trip or so before, summer comes to an official close toward the end of this month. Or maybe you just have to pack for a living. Whatever it is. Are you like me? You look and you check out your toiletries and you're like, man, how much shampoo am I allowed to do? What about the liquid soap I used to do? What about the stuff that Michelle gives me that I can wash on my face and make myself look pretty so that I can look presentable for all you guys? The hygiene issue, it is a problem when it comes to air travel. Well, why don't you just simplify it with Mando's 4-in-1 acidified cleansing bar? It is a 5-ounce bar that does the work of shampoo, face wash, body wash, and deodorant. You can also use it to create kind of a rich shaving lather. So technically, it's 5-in-1. Mando's 4-in-1 acidified cleansing bar. It's formulated with gentle alpha hydroxy acid that stops odor at the source, simplifies your hygiene routine, and it's the only thing you really need to go on the go. It's also available in 4 cologne qualified scents. You got Bourbon Leather, Mount Fuji, Pro Sport, and Cloverwoods. So Mando's starter pack, it is perfect for brand new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, kind of like mini body wash, deodorant wipes. Those are great on the go, and also free shipping. Luckily, we have a discount code to help you get hooked on your favorite smelling whole body deodorant on the market. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use the code baseball today at shopmando.com. That is shopmando.com. You will be smelling great, loving life. All right, we continue on. A couple of big swingers from the left side. Congrats to Corey Seager. Sorry, Corey Seager. Who's he again? I've heard of him. He became the first strictly left-handed hitting shortstop to top 200 homers. Plenty of switchers in that group, but he's the first one to hit 200 strictly from the left side. Meanwhile, Lawrence Butler had his second 3-homer game of the season in a losing effort on Thursday. He joined Mookie Betts and Ralph Kiner as the only players to have multiple 3-homer games in the same season while 24 or younger. Which of those impressed you more?
Well, I'm happy for Lawrence doing his thing, feeling like he's establishing himself at the big league level. That's nice. I'm gonna go with Seager in the 200. I love the longevity factor. 200 homers is so many homers, people. It really is, and he's just kind of getting started. I always break the numbers down in this because Jim Tomey used to do it with me. My bad. Name drop. 200 homers. That's 20 a year for 10 years straight. Like people we get numb to numbers sometimes.
Yes, we do.
Or 200 doesn't seem that much because we've seen Albert Pujols hit 700 and all these things. That's crazy. Okay, 200 homers is awesome, and I like watching Corey Seager hit. So I'm happy that Lawrence Butler's doing his thing. He really, has been crushing the ball.
He
Hit 5 homers in that series alone, Chris. And that last one was pretty awesome, but I'm going to go with the longevity. I'm going to go with Seager 200 homers here. And I love the lefty factor. Shortstop, pretty cool.
Yeah, that was kind of a shocking little stat that we found. Did you see how many shortstops have hit 200 homers? I assume this is as a shortstop because guys got moved around from position to position. Guess how many shortstops in the history of the sport have hit 200 homers?
Shortstops? I mean, back in the day, it just wasn't that many.
Right.
So I'm going to say 12?
God, you are so close. 15.
Okay.
Really good job. You know, there's the obvious guys, the A-Rods, the Ernie Bankses. And then you had to get like Josh and I played the game last night. We tried to name it.
I kind of want to play this game, but I don't even have time.
No, but it's a fun one.
Jeter, obviously.
Yeah. Jeter got there. Miguel Tejada. Jimmy Rollins. But you're right. You know who I didn't look up? Nomar. Should we look up Nomar?
He has to have it.
I would think so.
I'm looking it up right now. You talk about Lawrence because I know that's who you're talking about.
Yeah, because that's exactly who I'm talking about. It's because I'm wearing this A's cap. You know, they have been playing very, very good baseball. Among one of the best records in baseball in recent time. Now, the rest of their season has obviously gone in the dumper. But this is a guy who you could see playing not only in Sacramento, but in Vegas for years to come. He's really found his power source. 7 homers this month, 10 in July, OPS over 800. Young guy. We met him a couple years ago, or was it last year?
It was in Seattle at the All-Star game.
It was. And he was playing in the Futures game. And whomever we were with was like, this guy's going to be coming up real soon. Look out. And that will stick with me as long as that guy plays baseball. And I loved it. Did you hear the game-tying homer? I not only see it, here we go.
All right.
Hey,
he's feeling it.
Yeah, you can play on my team any day. You do that. You do that in the 9th inning and tie the game up, I'm in.
And they took the L, though. Ouch.
I know, but that wasn't his fault. What'd you find out on Nomar?
I don't think he did because
Really?
he ended up with 229 career, and he played kind of all over the place towards the end there. So
Yeah.
I don't think he's probably like 180 as a shortstop, I'd imagine.
You could break it down by position. Go to his splits, career splits position. I'm dying to know. You know what? We'll have Dan look it up while we do our last thing, which is our 5-hour energy question of the week. I got to be honest with you.
187 homers. I was right on.
There you go. He nailed it. There were great ones this week, and I had a hard time nailing it down to one. So if you did throw one in and we don't pick it, please put it back in the hopper next week if we're still doing this, because it was great. But I'm going to go with Cullen Chaperon. He said, would you or fans want to have an R-rated broadcast option that features all the F-bombs from announcers, players, and sideline reporters, sort of what the original XFL tried to do, or even an XBL with metal bats and tennis balls, just for fun?
I would go with Colin Chaperon. I'm just gonna say it like an American right there. Yeah, I like alluded to this. Like, what was that last episode or a couple episodes ago about my big idea about having alternate broadcasts and having the comedians do it? That's exactly what I'm talking about. Kind of
Right.
like a no holds barred, whatever you want type broadcast. I'm in. Like, I'm not a huge fan of like the alternate broadcasts that we've done so far, the Manning cast and the statistical one that baseball does. Like, I'm not super into that. I don't think it's different enough. Like, I want something that's completely different. If you're going to get away from the normal play-by-play color guy, I think you need to just run the opposite way. So, yes, something like this, I would be interested, and I think a lot of people would be interested. Look how famous like these streamers are, Chris. When we were at that event, the Fanatics Fest, the most famous people there was not Tom Brady, it's not Lil Wayne, it wasn't any of the basketball players there. It was the streamers.
Mm-hmm.
So
You're
to
right.
have like, guys like that, I don't know if they need to be involved in this, but something different, I'd be very into. And I think Major League Baseball should be trying something like this for sure.
Okay, so let me give you my opinion on it and then why I want to see it. I have wanted to do this for years. I always felt like there should be an NFL, they should pick the worst game of the week or whatever and have an additional channel on their now YouTube package with YouTube where you don't have to send the announcers there. It's just two guys in a booth. We could be in LA or New York or wherever the people are. So it'd be a play-by-play person who's got a good personality and a comedian. And you are saying whatever the hell could you imagine some of the shit you would say about the players? Like, imagine when you're sitting there with your boys or girls or whomever you're watching games with and how pissed off you get at the TV. You are the dumbest MFer like, what the hell were you We all yell the same stuff. And wouldn't you love it if you could find a broadcast that did the same exact thing that you did? You wouldn't pay a little extra money for that?
We've already started this. The live streams that we
Yes.
do at our company are kind of like that, but we don't own the rights to the game. Can't show you the highlights and we can't
Exactly.
show you the slow-mos and the gameplay the way that, if they were to do this the right way, you could do it. So like, I'm not a huge fan of the live streams, even the ones that we do. I'm like, all right, like I get why people like them. But because you don't have the game, like it
Right.
it
We need
doesn't
the
really
game.
work for me yet. But if you combine those two things, I think you do have gold, Chris. And I'm assuming that eventually Major League Baseball and NFL will figure
Well,
this out. Like this
so
is something that people would want.
here's the problem.
Okay.
Now I put my business hat on. What happens with some of these more conservative products that you are selling when they say, well, we don't want to be attached to a broadcast that's like that? We
What
want to,
product is that?
well, I don't know. I don't know.
You'd
I
have
mean,
completely different advertisers for those ones.
could. I suppose you could. It gets a little, that
It doesn't
gets
have
a
to be
little
like
quirky.
you're talking like this is going to be raunchy and they're going to be degrading the players and stuff. I don't think it has to be like that. I just think it could
That's
be
the
someone.
fun part, isn't it?
Well, I think it could be someone with a completely different background. I go to comedians because they're used to doing this, to entertaining people. I would go there first.
Well, did you not listen to the Tom Brady roast? It can get pretty raunchy.
That's different. I don't think you'd want to go that far. And maybe you would. I don't know. In my opinion, it would be just more having fun, and comedians would be great.
You have to hold on because did you pay attention to football when Dennis Miller was in the booth for Monday Night Football or no?
I
You
don't
remember
know.
that
I remember
aspect of
Dennis
it?
Miller.
Okay. Yeah. So that's a big deal. Dennis Miller was, I mean, he's a genius. He's a comedic genius, but he certainly isn't for everybody. As he used to say, 90% of the jokes are for me, the rest are for you. Like he was so highbrow that would go right over people's head. So people are like, why? And even Tony Kornheiser, not a comedian, but a big personality and not a true football guy in
Yeah.
the booth. That stuff didn't work. So if you're going to do this, you got to go. You have to go and let them have free reign and say whatever the hell they want about the players and everything that comes along with it.
Nick
Now,
Swardson for a Vikings game. Like that was my one example that I've had in the chamber for quite some time. He's hilarious. Everyone knows him and he's a big Vikings fan. That'd be great. And he would say a lot of
I think comedians would love to do that because of their
me
passion
too.
for football. We'd have to find some for baseball that could get it done too. But yes, and Cullen, in answer to your question, now as far as the middle bats, tennis balls, we're good.
Oh, out on that.
Yeah, we'll move on from that. But the first part of your question was A++. Loved it. Loved it. Thank you so much. That's going to do it for us. By the way, I screwed up. I blew past the tip of the cap. I don't know what I was thinking. I read right past it on my sheet. So Rich Hill, good for you. 44 years old, came out, has now thrown a pitch in 20 consecutive Major League Baseball seasons. That's freaking awesome, dude. I don't care if we ate our dessert first or our appetizer last year. I want to give you some credit. Here's the amazing thing. Did this against the Blue Jays last night. Blue Jays manager John Schneider caught Rich Hill in the Cape Cod lead more than 2 decades ago.
44 years old is nuts, dude.
Yeah. Pretty good. This was a blast. Great week. Thank you for the fan participation. You were awesome. We are off on Labor Day. We are back at it again on Tuesday. We cannot wait because we'll have less than a month to go in the Major League season. For our one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rourke, the uber-talented Trevor Plouffe, I am Chris Rose. We will see you Tuesday here on Baseball Today, presented to you by 5 Hour Energy.